14,583 seconds, 243 minutes, 4 hours, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds. That is the exact amount of music that Australian genre-bending lunatics King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard have released in 2022. And with this fact, ultimately, as an outsider, that amount of time festers in your mind, and slowly a question begins to form. There's no way this amount of music in a year can be good, right? What the fuck were you thinking? Of course the music is amazing. It's King motherfucking Gizzard. Look, we all know this. They're capable of releasing inhuman amounts of music in a year. They did the exact same thing in 2017. 5 completely different albums in terms of mood and genre. Microtonal Madness on Flying Microtonal Banana, where they modified their instruments to play the notes in between notes. A boppy jazz album with sketches of Brunswick East. A delicious soup of different genres on Gumboot Soup. Murder of the Universe, an insanely detailed concept album about gods fighting robots and shit. And of course, the best King Gizzard album ever, baby. Polygon to Wonderland. The rhythms on this album are fucking insanity, injected into my veins. Yummy, so good. But did they stick the landing with the 2022 albums? Obviously. We're not answering the question if they stuck the landing. They aced the landing. The question that we're tackling today is which one is the best. Welcome to... techno album? Really? And it slaps? Really? Yeah, this is the most out of left field shift in sound that Gizzard have ever done, to the point where people either love it or people hate it. It's extremely polarizing among fans. 4 of the 5 albums that Gizzard have released this year house a specific idea surrounding music theory. For Made in Timeland, they made polyrhythms around the ticking of a clock. Polyrhythms are basically 2 or more rhythms happening consecutively to create off-kilter and mind-melting complexity. There are 2 tracks on here, Timeland and Smoke and Mirrors. These tracks were used as intermission music for their double sets they did in 2022. Both of the tracks are exactly 15 minutes long. They vary from ambient noise to non-Western instruments interlaced with groovy beats and soft percussive detailing to create a barrage of constantly shifting atmospheres, and goddamn do I like it. Both of these tracks on this album can be perceived as simple intermission music on the face of it. But the more you listen, the more they reveal. Definitely not as good as all the other ones on this list, but for God's sakes, just listen to it already. This way you can experience what it feels like to be in a club, instead of sitting alone in your room, staring at your phone, watching a random guy on the internet talk about Australians for 15 to 20 minutes. Check out Timeland. So this pick being so low might confuse people. Let me explain. This is basically the album that got me fully into the band. I had heard LW and KG before, but those albums struck me as being just fun microtonal jammy stuff, and I wrote the band off as just some random jammy band that made wacky music. But this album convinced me otherwise. The explosive and multi-phase rock opera opener, The Dripping Tap, is just a fantastic way to start the album. Clocking it at 18 minutes, this thing grabs you and pummels you through 15 consecutive concrete walls with infectious and complex riffs and cutting solos. Such a rush of energy to start off the album. This album is a double album. Yes, really. In a year where they released 5 albums, they managed to compile 1 hour and 20 minutes of goodies for us to dig into. And the goodie bag that Giz gives us is basically a variation of different sounds and genres all mashed into one shiny bag. You're listening to smooth jazz pop on Kepler 22B, and then you're pummeled into an insane metal-infused theatrical rock song with Gaia. And just like this, the album flutters between different styles and ideas, all combined with immaculate production. They even dip their toes into random old-school hip-hop stuff on Sadie Sorceress, and the Grim Reaper. Jesus, this is really the whitest band on the planet. But through all this genre confusion, there's an almost strange cohesion between all of these tracks. They flow surprisingly well together in an album format, to the point where it almost feels impossible. And goddamn, some tracks on this album are just so goddamn catchy. Well and truly, this album houses so many fantastic hooks that just get stuck in your head every single day, and the instrumentation flourishes so much on these tracks. Ambergris has just such a catchy hook and funky bass line that just screams smooth. Evilest Man is just a tight and fun multi-phase rock banger, and Candles and The Funeral wrap the album up in an almost trance-like state, with hypnotic vocal cuts and dreamy drum lines. Look, in terms of concept or scope, this album is really nothing crazy in their discography. It's not as ambitious or unique as some of their other stuff, but what this album provides is a perfect way to get into the band. A collection of different sounds that they've tried to do over the years, wrapped up in a super entertaining listen. Even though the album is 80 minutes long, it just breezes by. Check out The Dripping Tap and Ambergris. Laminated Denim is the official prequel to Made in Timeland. The title is also an anagram of Made in Timeland. It houses the same concept as Timeland, polyrhythms around the ticking of a clock. However, this time, the sound is completely different. This is a super fun jam fest with freaky rhythms and ever-changing riffs and fantastic drumming by Michael Kavanagh. On a lot of the album, I get the vibe of Polygon to Wonderland, where you just find yourself hyper-fixated on trying to find the beat and failing miserably every single time. But this album has a more loose feel than Poly has. It has a feeling of a band just jamming out in their free time, just oozing confidence in every note and extravagance in every strum. But the structure of both of these tracks are very tight. They have very pronounced sections and moods, so it doesn't feel like you're listening to meaningless jamming that leads to nothing. The conclusion I felt after both of the tracks was that of satisfaction when it comes to the conclusion that they come to. I love the super psychedelic outro of The Land Before Timeland, which is just a super chill, laid-back track until it transforms into a hypnotic beast right before your ears. And Hypertension just has some of King Gizzard's most memorable lines that they've ever done. The best out of all of them being, "Who am I if not a canary in the coal mine?" That line is just so insanely catchy in the song, but houses such a terrifying connotation. It just fills me with dread thinking about it. Combine that with the multi-phase instrumentation that just demands your attention every second, and before your ears can get used to what you're listening to, it introduces another melodic element to further immerse you in its world. Love, love, love it. Check out Hypertension. Changes is the last album King Gizzard released in 2022, and one that has been in the works for 4 years. That might not sound like a lot, but for King Gizzard, that's like centuries of time. The concept of this album is too difficult for me to explain personally, so here's a music theory scholar from the smartest place on the internet to explain it: Reddit. Half of the chords in each song are in the key of D major. The other half are from F sharp major. So are the melody notes. Every couple of measures, they switch back and forth between these two keys. The melody has to use the notes from the active key while still sounding coherent. The two keys only share 3 notes: F sharp, B, and C sharp. The other 4 notes of each key are not found in the other. This makes it challenging to write a melody that flows smoothly between the 2 keys. Hence the name Changes, because it's all about the change of one key to another. While this concept is hard to grasp for some people, the music is not. It's a very pop-centric album, using unique jazz chord structures and psychedelic elements to draw its moods and soundscapes. You can really tell a lot of time went into the creation of the album because each song has a distinct feel, and the use of instruments feels very deliberate. Like the horns that accentuate certain notes on AstroTurf, that gives the song a super unique space in the album, and blossoms well with a thick bass line that runs throughout the song. Where the concept really shines though is the opening track, Change. In this 13-minute track, the keyboard lines flow ever so fluently throughout the mix. These chord progressions move the track forward and serve as giving the listener something to hold on to, while psychedelic synth soundscapes start to form. Such an amazing track. And Gandhi has to be one of the catchiest tracks of the year. I literally can't put the song on without singing along to the hook. That track just goes unbelievably hard. The whole album is super fun to listen to. Too bad this released in October because this is the perfect summer album. Just super uplifting, breezy, and just so addicting to listen to. I do feel like the album could be slightly longer, which may sound greedy because they released 5 fucking albums this year, but I feel like the album could have benefited from a longer runtime. And also, this album broke my earbuds. I was listening to it for the first time, and my earbuds malfunctioned and broke. So expect an invoice coming your way, Gizzy. Check out Change and Gandhi. My fucking god, this album, man. When I first listened to it, I was out on a 3-week-long vacation with my girlfriend to celebrate finishing our graphic design degrees. The album came out in the second week of that trip and enveloped basically that whole trip in terms of music for me. For the sometimes day-long trips to go from country to country, sitting in a smelly train in Croatia, I would always revisit this album time and time again. The concept of this record is that each song is written in a different musical mode. A mode is a pattern of scales in a chord progression. For each song on the album, King Gizzard used exclusively one mode for each of the instruments. So each song has a completely different sound in terms of feel and structure. The initials of the album title has the modes in order of appearance. So first off, Mycelium is in Ionian, also known as the major scale, which is why the song sounds so breezy and bright, and basically unlike anything the band have ever done. The band usually doesn't even use the major scale in their songs, so this is certainly a unique way to start off the album. Ice 5 is in Dorian mode, and it's also one of the most engaging jam songs I have ever heard. Even though the song is over 10 minutes long, I never got bored of it in any shape or form. And while maybe the most straightforward track of the album, it's still one of the strongest songs of the year. And right after that, there's Magma. Please, for the love of God, if you play bass, just listen to this fucking track. Every bass line in this track just blows my socks off, and the guitar solo at 7 minutes in is just fucking fantastic, honestly. Magma is in the Phrygian mode, and I just love that even though the album is extremely varied in terms of sound due to the concept of it, it still manages to tie the whole structure together due to the amazing jammy feel of it all. Lava is written in Lydian and starts off with this absolutely incredible jazzy opening that just opens a whole world right in front of you. And then these tribal drums come in and immediately the song is in a completely different style. Stu McKenzie is talking about his troubles with chronic eczema by using this dystopian figure of the Magma Lord, which he submits himself to at the end of the track, symbolizing him giving over to the itchiness of his skin. I have suffered from chronic eczema my entire life, and to have an album that has that as the central theme is extremely meaningful to me, and honestly makes my connection with this album even stronger. This theme of an endless itch is further explored on the next track, Hell's Itch, which is written in Mixolydian. As a result, the song is just extremely smooth in its instrumentation, which helps move the narrative of the song forward. And of any song that I've heard, or of any media in general, I've never seen such an accurate portrait of the struggles of living with eczema. The relief of scratching and the almost instantaneous regret right after, and the fact that pain is easier to endure than an itch. Anyways, enough with my struggles about my skin and shit. Despite its subject matter, this song is extremely chill and uplifting to me. It has an almost bluesy edge combined with angelic vocal layering that gives the song such a unique vibe. And then there it is. My favorite King Gizzard song ever written in Aeolian, Iron Lung. The drums of this track are just unmatched by anything I've heard this year, except for Morgan Simpson on Hellfire, of course. They just give the track such an extremely chill vibe and just carries the whole mood of the track on its back. The song moves from being extremely laid back to full-on wham pedal funk rock. The soft bass notes that accentuate the funky-ass guitar lines, the subtle flute notes that just provide such a unique atmosphere, the fantastic fuzzy guitar solos that just ring out throughout the mix. Motherfucking Ambrose gives us my favorite vocal delivery I've heard all year on the track's bridge. Incredible. Just incredible. Finally, we have Police 710, which is written in Locrian, and wow, is it super dramatic. Not only with its vocal delivery, but also with the ominous horns and piano notes filled with pure doom. It feels like the album is imploding on itself. Locrian works perfectly to accent this. It's very minor and dark, which fits the track insanely well. And that's Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava. I've listened to about half of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's discography so far, and this album is my second favorite. So much variety and fun, jammy goodness packed in such a layered listen. Absolutely incredible listen all around. What a band, man. Props for them for making such interesting and fun albums in a very short time span. And I just have to give one final shout out to Stu McKenzie, the frontman. That dude works on music for up to 18 hours a day and tours for a majority of the year, all the while suffering with Crohn's disease. That is just crazy to me that someone could be that dedicated to the craft, passionate about everything else. That is just so admirable to me. But mate, take a break once in a while, man. You deserve it. Or, don't. We'll get more albums soon enough. Both are fine by me.